think anybody who pretends that it's a hardship for billionaires to pay a little bit more in taxes so that a single mom gets child care support, or so that we're doing something about climate change for the next generation, that's an argument that is unsustainable.
Former President Barack Obama is urging Democrats to not shy away from the argument that the wealthy should pay more in taxes to cover President Biden's Build Back Better agenda. It's legislation that will likely play a major role in determining Joe Biden's legacy. And today, the former president was looking at his own legacy with the groundbreaking of his long-awaited Obama Presidential Center in Chicago. President Obama says his hope is that this center can help the next generation take on the central struggles of our time and battle against a growing culture of cynicism and tribalism.
What we've seen is that in the breach, a culture of cynicism and mistrust can grow. You start seeing more division and increasingly bitter conflict. A politics that feeds anger and resentment towards those who are like us and starts turning away from democratic principles in favor of tribalism and might makes right.
Joining me now is Valerie Jarrett, former White House senior advisor to President Obama and president of the Obama Foundation. And Valerie, it is always great to talk with you. You know, it is interesting to see President Obama back out now. Of course, it's because the groundbreaking is taking place on the Obama Center. But do you think that he also views, in some ways, President Biden and Biden's agenda as part of his legacy? Because it was their partnership and the fights they fought with people like Mitch McConnell that kind of set the table for the fights that we're seeing President Biden fight now.
Well, good evening, Joy. So first I have to say to you, it is a glorious day here in Chicago. I'm in the Obama offices, the foundation offices right now. I was out there on the site earlier today. And yes, I do think that the work that President Biden is doing is a continuation of the work that began under President Obama. And that's as it should be. You run with the baton as fast as you can. You can't get everything done, and then you leave it to the next person to pick it up. And obviously we had a gap in there. And now President Biden is certainly trying to make up for lost time. But the other important part of his legacy that he spoke to today, first of all, he said, nearly everything important in my life started here on the south side of Chicago. So to be able to give back to the city with this incredible 19.3 acre center that's going to be a beacon of hope and a catalyst, really, Joy, I think, for positive change that begins here but will ripple around the world. That's a part of his legacy, too. As he said, he wants to make sure that the next generation is a little bit better prepared for the challenges that lie ahead. And if we can play a role in that education and connecting them, convening them, inspiring them, and empowering them, that is really a very important part of his legacy, together with Michelle Obama and all of those who've been involved in this extraordinary journey with them.
Well, you mentioned Michelle because, that was going to be my next question. You cannot talk about Chicago and the Obamas without talking about Michelle, whose family legacy is so rooted to Chicago. Your dear friend. Let's play a little bite of her today talking about the center.
See, to my mind, this city, this neighborhood, it courses through my veins. It defines me at my very core. It makes me who I am. So I'm not just a daughter from the South Side, but a mother from the South Side, a lawyer, an executive, and author from the South Side. I am a first lady from the South Side of Chicago.
I have heard her give that speech very emotionally before in Chicago. She obviously has a great love for the South Side of Chicago. Is Michelle part of the catalyst for this becoming a neighborhood center? For having, I'm looking here at the list, an auditorium, classrooms, recording studios, a public plaza, an athletic center, a play area, a branch of the Chicago Public Library, and the push to make sure that it's not a gentrification project, that people who live in that neighborhood can still benefit from its presence.
Yeah, of course, she grew up on the South Side. They met on the South Side, married, had their children, raised them until they left Washington. And so I think this is very much a partnership. They have worked on it together with the community. And part of what we've been doing over the last several years is ensuring that we had community voices as a part of the planning process, that this isn't a center that turns inward, but turns outward, and having the Chicago Public Library and the athletic fields and having it open to the public with walking trails and sledding hills and for the winter, because we do have winter here in Chicago, all of that is important to both of them. And I think for her, yes, it's very personal. Both Obamas were introduced today, Joy, by high school students from Chicago. And I think the connection that you saw between them and those young people, and they just left our offices here, they met with some more public high school students from around the city privately. And it was such an incredible session because they humanized themselves. And I think these young people see themselves in the Obamas because they're not up on some lofty pedestal. They're right here down on earth. And I think that authenticity is what you heard in both of their remarks today. It was coming home.
You know,
giving back to the city that gave them so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry to interrupt you. It is a strange juxtaposition. I don't know if you feel this way, Valerie Jarrett, to see the Obamas launching something so positive in an era that is so negative and with so many fights over whether or not we can even pass basic things like childcare, things that we expect the government to be able to do. As you said, the fights that have been going back since their administration. Are the Obamas optimistic? Because this era is dark. The Trump and post-Trump era is pretty dark, especially when you look at what Republicans are doing.
Yeah, look, there are huge challenges, Joy, and you nailed it when you talked about the darkness of the Republicans, that they won't push through a package that's going to provide these basic necessities for working families. But what gives the Obamas hope, what gives me hope, what I hope gives you hope too, Joy, is these young people who do believe that our better days are ahead and that they want to be a part of it. And all they want are the tools to go out and be these forces for good. Yesterday, the Obamas met with a group of young people that are Obama scholars at the University of Chicago, already out working in the community, being change agents, and all they want are a little bit more of an education for how to do it more impactfully. We have scholars and fellows from around the world in Asia and Africa and in Europe today are out there working on issues that they care about, from climate change to criminal justice reform to police reform to income inequality. And we're not going to tell them what to do. We're just going to give them some tools to be impactful, some evidence-based strategies that President Obama learned on the ground here in Chicago. And so that's what keeps us optimistic. Yes, if you spend too much time in Washington, it can eat your soul alive. And so that's why, even when we were in Washington, President Obama would always tell me on a bad day, he'd say, you know what, get outside of Washington, get out of the Beltway and meet with some real people who really want to roll up their sleeves and make a difference. And they're out there. And what we want to do is unleash their full potential.
Well, now that I'm in Washington, I can say, hear, hear. That is true. It is rough on the soul, but you are wonderful for the soul, Valerie. Listen, don't tempt me with a good time. Don't tempt me with a good time. Valerie Jarrett, you're great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here tonight. Okay, up next. Nearly 4 months after the 100-year anniversary of the horrific race massacre in Tulsa, the few remaining survivors are seeking reparations and finally getting their day in court. The readout continues after this.